When you think about a video game, what do you picture? The graphics? The sound? Well, what if you strip all that away? What you're left with is text. Just lines and lines of code. But what we're going to see today is that this code, it tells a story. And it's not just about the game. It's about the person who poured years of their life into it. Okay, let's just dive right in. To most people, this looks like a totally incomprehensible wall of text, right? But it's not chaos. Not at all. It's actually a blueprint. We're looking at the entire universe of a game, but in its most raw, fundamental form. And if you look close enough, you'll see that buried deep inside this code are the fundamental laws of this universe. Simple sentences that literally define life and death. A single rule like this one, it establishes a core mechanic. It's the actual DNA of the game's conflict. So today, we're basically going on an archaeological dig. We're going to explore this single file from the game OXTriangle. And through it, we're going to uncover the hidden story of its world and of its creator, Stephen Grace. We're going to see how ideas get born, how they evolve, and, what gets left behind on the cutting room floor.
Every great dig has to start somewhere. And for a game, the most basic fundamental building block is movement. I mean, how do you even take a static image on a screen and make it walk? Well, it all starts with a very specific recipe of instructions.
So this game is built using something called Game Maker language, or GML for short. Now think of each script in the code as a recipe. This recipe tells a character, hey, when this thing happens, you do that. And probably the most important recipe of them all is just how to get from point A to point B. See, the script for movement isn't just one simple command. It's this rapid-fire cascade of questions that the game asks itself. Is the player pressing a key? Okay. Is there a wall in the way? No. Is another character blocking the path? Nope. It's only after all those checks come back clear that the code finally says, all right, go. It's a surprisingly elegant solution to what is a really complex problem. And this is where you start to realize just how deep this rabbit hole goes. The code isn't just checking for a simple wall. It's checking for mud, for directional arrows, for a dozen different kinds of barriers. Some of them even have typos, which is amazing. Each one has its own rules. The physics of this world are being built line by line right here. Okay, so our characters can move around. Great. But what happens when they actually meet each other? Well, that brings us to the rules of combat. How does the code decide who wins in a fight? At its heart, the combat logic is this simple, elegant hierarchy. It's basically a game of rock, paper, scissors. And the code actually spells it out for us in plain English. A kills X, but triangle kills A. This incredibly simple system becomes the foundation for all the game's strategy. But, of course, not all characters are created equal. The developer, Stefan, he created different tiers of power. We can see his math right here in the get max hit script. A teragi is precisely twice as tough as a gigaG. It takes 10 hits to kill versus 5. This is game balancing in action, laid bare, one number at a time. So basic attacks are one thing, but what about the really cool stuff, the special powers? How do you take an awesome idea like, say, draining life from an opponent and turn that into cold, hard code? Well, you might be surprised at how simple it is. A special ability like this is often just math. In this script for a life drain attack, one character's health is reduced by 1, while the other character's health is increased by 1. That's it. An epic-sounding ability distilled down into 2 lines of basic arithmetic. Incredible. Building a game is one thing. But what's really ambitious is when a developer builds tools inside their own game to create even more content. That shows a real vision, a vision for a project that's meant to grow and evolve. And right here, we find a massive piece of the story. Stefan built a complete level designer right into the game itself. He created different palettes of items he could just grab and place, characters, materials, even bombs. He wasn't just being a programmer here, he was being an architect, literally building his own tools to then build out his world. And the ambition didn't stop there. I mean, this is wild. Hidden inside this one source file, we found the complete playable rules for 2 other games. There's a fully functional Connect4 clone that uses boulders and a whole memory match game. These aren't just little features, they're entire worlds within the main world.
Okay, so far we've looked at the logic, the mechanics, the cold, hard facts of the game. But code is also incredibly personal. It contains the creator's fingerprints, their little shortcuts, their frustrations, even their abandoned dreams. This is where we find the human story. This is, hands down, one of my favorite finds. In a file that is filled with precise dates and technical comments, there's this one note next to a script's creation date. I don't know. It's just a small, perfectly human moment of honesty in a project this massive. It's a reminder that behind every single meticulous system, there's a person.
And of course, every creator needs a secret backdoor. Buried in a README section are the cheat codes Stefan left for himself, the power to destroy any character with a single right click or instantly change the terrain. This wasn't for the player. This was the developer's God mode for testing and building his world more easily. Code can also be a kind of graveyard for old ideas. This line here, it's been commented out, which means the game is told to just ignore it. It's a digital scar. It's a coming soon for a feature called a Lumax that was clearly planned, but for whatever reason, just never made it. It's like a little ghost in the machine. But the ambition here was just huge. We found these dedicated scripts to translate the entire game into French, Spanish, and German. He was planning for a global audience right from the code level. This shows it wasn't just some weekend hobby. This was a project with serious, worldwide aspirations. So, we've seen it all. We've seen movement, combat, tools, personal notes. Let's pull the camera back now and see how all these different threads weave together over time to create the final, complete tapestry. And because of all those little comments and modification notes, the code itself gives us a timeline of the whole project. The very first concepts pop up way back in 2015. Core mechanics get built in 2016, new abilities added in 2018, all the way up to tiny tweaks being made this year in 2024. This thing wasn't built in a weekend, it's nearly a decade of continuous creation, all captured in one single file. So what's the big takeaway here? A game isn't just the polished final version you buy in a store. It's a living document. It's the sum of thousands of tiny decisions, experiments, failures, and successes. It's a story told not in chapters, but in logic, in variables, and in comments. From just one single text file, we have unearthed a decade-long journey of pure creation. So the next time you're playing a game, just take a second and think about the code that's humming away just beneath the surface. What untold stories of ambition, of frustration, and of creativity are hiding in there, just waiting for someone to read them?